Hello and welcome once again to The Blueprint, Canada's Conservative podcast. I'm your host, Jamie Schmale, Member of Parliament for Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes, Brock, with new content for you every single Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this program. Guarantee you this is information you're not getting in the mainstream media. Don't forget to tell your friends, too. They can download it on platforms like CastBox, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. As you can see, we're in a brand new studio, and who better to have the first guest of that is the legend himself, the one and only from Brantford Brant, Larry Brock. Thanks for coming on the show.
Pleasure to be here, as always.
Why not have Larry Brock?
Love the new studio, love the new look. Let's get back to work.
I haven't had you on the show all summer, so we were missing some Larry Brock here. So let's dive right in because this story came across, I think, everyone's news feed the other day. This is absolutely incredible. We'll talk about the cabinet retreat and all that stuff. But the fact that in Vancouver, this one lawyer had 3 inmates ask for longer sentences so they could stay in jail to avoid the homeless crisis, the housing crisis, and stay away from dangerous drugs that are widely available on the streets in Vancouver. That's absolutely incredible. Where have we come to? How did we get here? I know we know the answer.
We obviously know the answer. But, you know, I have heard this particular tale for the last 30 years in my former career as a defense lawyer and Crown attorney. I usually used to hear it around wintertime when people didn't have secure housing. They'd flat out admit they wanted to commit a break and enter or some other mid-level crimes to secure about a 6-month sentence to get them through the winter season, to make sure they had 3 square meals a day, to ensure that they had a bed to sleep in. And they would be upfront with not only myself as a prosecutor, they'd be upfront with a judge. The criminal justice system, Jamie, has never been designed to be a backdrop to correcting our societal problems. It's a real reflection on how municipal governments, provincial governments, and federal governments are failing those Canadians who are suffering from addictions, who are suffering from homelessness, who are suffering from mental health deficits. We are not pooling our resources and looking at treatment and ensuring that these people don't look at the criminal justice system as a backdrop. It is a real indictment, in my view, against governments. All of governments.
100%. I can see those that are struggling with addiction for sure, and worrying about housing. Like if you're kind of teetering on the edge, you go to Vancouver and you could, I don't mean to make light of this, but there's just a buffet of drugs, illegal drugs you can get at your disposal. The temptation, I'm sure, would be overwhelming.
It shows how the BC, the province of British Columbia's drug policies are failing, and it's contributing. And it's like looking at a war-torn country in some parts of Vancouver. It's time that we took a look again at reinforcing what our the pillars of our drug policy. And just to recap what those pillars were, there's 4 pillars. It was all about prevention. It was about enforcement. It was about safe supply, and the last pillar that we're the only party, the only political party talking about it seriously, with the exception of the Alberta provincial government, is one of treatment. So we have to get back to a balanced approach with respect to our drug policies. Our federal government, under Justin Trudeau, he's putting all eggs in that basket in terms of safe supply. There is a spot, there is a avenue for safe supply, but not to make that the predominant policy is what's creating the mess that we see on the streets of Vancouver and all our other major cities across this country.
Well, that's exactly the thing, right? Like if you're just enabling and not trying to help people, what are you really and truly trying to solve at that point? Right. Not only that, when people get desperate for that fix, they commit crimes. Then through many pieces of legislation of this Liberal government, you get out on bail very easily, right, and you go right back into the system. Like it's this revolving door. So the citizens, the regular citizens who are just paying their taxes, going to work, trying to do the right thing, are continually being victimized by these failing policies by, you're right, all 3 levels of government in some cases.
Absolutely. And as I say, we are the only party, with the exception of the province of Alberta, to show that there is another path with respect to treating these individuals. Alberta has received tremendous success. They still have a lot of problems, particularly in Edmonton, particularly in Calgary, the larger centers. But in terms of the overall overdoses and the deaths, because of their focus on treatment, not safe supply, they have seen a significant drop in those numbers. BC, with all of their soft policies, their legalization of all types of drugs, has seen a significant spike.
That's right.
With overdoses,
right.
with deaths. So when are they going to wake up to the reality out there that your soft liberal policy is not working? These people, as I said to you many, many times, you don't wake up as a productive member of the community and say to yourself, you know what, I want to be a raging alcoholic. I want to go into this path of drug addiction. Mm-hmm. I want to basically ruin my entire life, and to continue to ruin my entire life, socially isolate myself from society, from my family, and just look for my hit. They don't want that path. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, these people want to be productive again.
Absolutely.
They want to be proud of themselves. Right. They want treatment. We as a society owe that. We as government officials owe that to them.
Cabinet retreat just finished up.
Yes.
Not too long ago, a few days ago. Still no solution on housing, right? Like we talked to Scott Aitchison a couple of weeks ago, our housing critic. We had Jazraz Salon on, our finance critic. We talked about housing quite often. And still, the Liberals sparked the demand side. Like they threw just gasoline, but they forgot about the supply side. You have an article there I think you want to share.
Let me quote something from our just brilliant, astute Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Well, this is going to be wonderful, isn't it?
This was his comment to the media ahead of the summit. Trudeau claimed high immigration, numbers of up to 1 million immigrants per year, is the solution to rapidly rising housing costs. He says Canada needs more carpenters, more skilled laborers, more folks to build the homes that we are needing to match the growing economy that we have right across the country. Yes, we do need skilled laborers. But where are those 1 million people going to be living as they're rebuilding the homes for the rest of the Canadians? Asinine logic, illogical, absolutely illogical. That comes from our Prime Minister.
Yeah, the focus off the supply side, like for generations, even when I was going through school, it was always you go to university, that was it, right? Like you don't go into the trades, et cetera, et cetera. We've all heard this, and I'm sure if we have kids, they can tell you the stories. But what happened was you lost out on decades of individuals that might have been interested in going the trades that aren't, and now according to the Canadian home builders, very shortly, in the next 5 or so years, for every 4 retirees in the skilled trades, we only get 1 into it. So the ability to build houses, or even get repairs done in your own house if you're lucky enough to have one, there's going to be a significant gap.
Yes. We have, we use this statistic many times in the House. We have one of the largest land masses in the world. Yet we are at the bottom of the pack when it comes to G7 countries. In fact, 38 of the most industrialized countries in the world, we have the lowest housing supply. So we have to get these houses built. We have to ensure that the federal government is working with the province and the provinces are working with the municipalities. I'm seeing a little bit of success in my home riding of Brantford-Brant. We are bucking the curve in terms of ensuring that the amount of time for processing the permits and developmental fees, et cetera, have all been compressed. We're having a number of new homes built, not just market homes. We're talking about affordable homes. We're looking at just taking a look at all the space that we have, repurposing some of the older gray stone buildings that we have in our community. So these are examples that can be used, in my view, from right across this country. We just need to start building. Pouring more immigrants into this country is not the solution. We just take a look a few months ago. about the heartbreaking story of those refugees that came from Africa, who literally had no place to stay. They were forced to sleep on the sidewalk. They were mistreated by government officials, largely municipal, probably provincial as well. Women who were not allowed to even use the washroom, did not have facilities. Children sleeping with a garbage bag or a piece of cardboard over them. This is not Canada, but this is how we are treating these people. I believe in immigration. This country was built on immigration, but we need to have a plan that works. The Bank of Canada, leading economists, all the major banks, the economists from those major banks are saying with every 1% increase in immigration, conversely, you're going to get a 3% increase in market value in your homes. It doesn't work. We need to have more homes. We need to have more affordable homes. We need to increase the trades. That comes from the provinces. That's, encouraging our young people to look at different paths. University is not always the answer. I take a look at some of my colleagues fresh out of high school who chose to go to college. I was in professional law school and in university. I didn't graduate till I was almost 28, 29 when I finally got my license to practice law. Some of my friends, my colleagues had already been in the workforce for close to 5 or 6 years, earning well over $100,000. The trades today versus the trades back in 40 years ago are vastly different. These are highly qualified, sought-after positions where an individual can make a very good living.
I also fault too, we're kind of getting off topic, I'll try to draw this back in, but I also fault too some of these post-secondary educations, the way they've set up. They in my opinion, they're not really focused on reining in programs that may not have a place in our economy of late, right? It just seems that you have a program, it's like a government program. Once it's there forever, and they're very slow to adapt to the changing economy. It could be the way they tenure their professors, et cetera, but at the same time, they're looking elsewhere for new sources of revenue to continue that kind of the base that they need to keep the lights on, so to speak. And there were a few articles out earlier this week talking about that, how the universities need to really rethink, and colleges too, how they do their business, because otherwise the price of education is not going to come down at all.
Absolutely.
And so I think, I don't want to get too much off topic, but I think there's a bigger approach, like there's a whole approach that governments need to look at on this.
So let's go back to the retreat for a moment. 3 days putting together the entire cabinet to discuss key issues regarding affordability, justice, and housing. After 3 days, they listened to experts, don't know who they were, leading advisors on those particular key issues, and yet we heard the same talking point by our Prime Minister, our new Housing Minister, Sean Fraser, that they understand, that they're empathetic to the issues and the problems and the challenges that Canadians are feeling. Canadians don't want their empathy. Canadians want change. And we didn't hear anything yesterday as to what the program is, how long it's going to take to achieve that particular program, what relief is going. There is no measurable markers that came out of that announcement. Safe to accept that there was an interview that I saw between Mark Miller and I believe it was Vashi Kapelas, or actually it was Catherine Cullen from the CBC, where I was disgusted to listen to what he had to say, taking swipes at our leader, saying that he was the worst leader that the Conservative Party has ever had, that he's not serious, that he is stoking fears, and he is stoking anger and hostility. And Catherine called him out on it. Minister, those are really harsh words. And he had nothing else to say back.
I think they're desperate. They're clearly desperate.
They are. This is not the leader that we know. This is not the leader that is connecting with Canadians from coast to coast to coast. I am very proud of what our leader is doing. He is offering a plan. He is offering solutions. He's mentioned twice to recall Parliament to get the job done. He did that with respect to housing. In fact, he was on the Hill yesterday basically looking at the chamber saying, open these doors, let's get back to work. Let's tackle this housing issue together.
Yep.
Here we are, still closed.
Well, he also raised a very good point, too, about that anger, because he was asked about that at his press conference a few days ago. He basically laid out the fact that, as you said, he has a plan, but as he holds rallies all across the country, people don't seem that angry. They're looking for hope, and I think our leader is giving it to them. The party is giving the Canadians hope because of our policies, and at the same time, people who are losing their home, having trouble feeding their kids, all because of things the government, the federal government, has contributed to, in some case solely caused.
Right.
No wonder people are angry.
Yes.
Like we started off the show, there are inmates asking for longer sentences.
Yep.
Like, this is not the Canada it was in 2015.
They want to be housed, they want to be fed. And the reality is, this government is not dealing with the day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month issues that millions of Canadians are facing every single day. Food bank usage is still up.
Yep.
Foreclosures are increasing. The banks can only work so much with individuals who are having a hard time making these increasing mortgage payments. Everything as a result of Trudeau's failed policies. Rent is skyrocketing, mortgage rates are skyrocketing. There is no path that this Liberal government can do to correct the damage that they have done. The only path is a new general election resulting in a new Conservative government to correct these wrongs. On another point with respect to the cabinet, the issue regarding justice issues and crime issues, bail reform and the like, in my view, this cabinet shuffle was, I guess, supposed to be a communication piece by the government. I don't view it as moving the needle one iota, particularly when it comes to our new Justice Minister, Arif Virani. And I want to look right at the camera and I want to speak to our new Justice Minister. Justice Minister, your riding is Parkdale High Park. I don't know if you're familiar with that area of Toronto, Jamie, but High Park, a very affluent area of the city. Parkdale, less affluent. He has more crime in that Parkdale part of his riding that it is bucking the trends in terms of the overall crime statistics in the city of Toronto. So he needs to look outside his door and start looking at statistics. He claims, and he wants Canadians to believe, that all the information coming from Stats Can that over the last 8 years crime has spiked close to 40% is all a figment of our imagination. So I'm looking at the camera right now, Minister Virani, read the Stat Can report. It is in black and white. Crime is up on your watch, and you're not doing anything about it, sir. Canadians are watching.
Well, how often do we get chastised for years about paying attention to stats, right? The statistics.
Exactly.
Right? Like, it's all a talking point. It's all, smoke and mirrors with these Liberals.
Absolutely.
Each and every time.
Canadians deserve a place to live. Canadians deserve nutritional meals. Canadians deserve to be safe. 3 pillars that are the responsibility of the federal government, and they're failing.
All right, guests get the last word. It's the new studio. What do you think? Tell us your closing thoughts, Mr. Brock.
I can't wait to get back into Parliament, get back to work, and give some relief to Canadians.
You're a good man. Thank you very much. Larry Brock, Member of Parliament for Brantford Grants. Appreciate his time in this brand new studio. We appreciate your time as well and hope to see you in future episodes. Don't forget, download it on platforms like CastBox, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. New content every single Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, even throughout the summer. Something to tell your friends about. Until next week, remember, low taxes, less government, more freedom.